Hi, I'm Kirsten Murphy, Executive Director for the Vermont Developmental Disabilities Council. And this video is a review of the agenda for our quarterly meeting on September 30th, 2021. I will begin by sharing my screen so you can see the agenda. All right, so we will open the Zoom room at 9:30 so that members have a chance to check in with each other if they'd like to. But the formal meeting will not start until 10 a.m. Again, that's September 30th. At 10, our chair, Courtney Quinlan, will welcome everyone. She'll suggest an icebreaker question and have everyone introduce themselves. She will review the guidelines for using Zoom during a meeting. Most importantly, the need to stay on mute if you're not speaking. We will then assign roles to different members. Roles are things like jargon buster or timekeeper. And then we will ask for a motion to adopt the minutes from June 24th. The minutes are in your meeting packet, and there is an audio recording of them on our website. I strongly encourage you to look them over, read them over, or listen to them before the meeting so that you're prepared for that vote. Then at 10:25, Chair Courtney Quinlan will give her report. She's going to do three things. She's first going to introduce two LEND interns who are going to be working with the council for the next, roughly the next 9 months. They are Kirsten Olson and Jorge Rios, and they are part of the Leadership Education in Neurodevelopmental Disabilities program at the University of Vermont. Chair Quinlan is also part of that program, so she knows them well. And we're very honored. This is the first time that we have had LEND fellows join our team. They'll share a little bit about the projects that they're going to be undertaking. Courtney will then review rules for representing the DD Council out in the community, because we'll be asking you to do some outreach to your friends and contacts around gathering applications for some funding opportunities that we'll tell you about later. And then I have to do a required review of the state ethics policy. I'll try to make that very quick and not too boring. Then we get to the real meat of the meeting, which is going to be our program committee reporting to you on the hard work that they've done to write work plans for the first 2 performance years of our next 5-year cycle. Since we're meeting on the last day of September, our new 5-year cycle begins the very next day on October 1st. And that's when we will start working on the goals and objectives that you adopted back at our June 24th meeting. Program committee members have translated those objectives into a set of activities and outcomes, and they will explain those activities and outcomes for each of the objectives. First, we'll hear from goal area 1, empowering people, which has 5 objectives. Then we will hear about gaps in services, where there are 3 objectives. Then addressing the needs of an underserved group, that's goal area 3, where there are 2 objectives. And finally, we'll talk about our systems change work, goal area 4, where there are 4 objectives. Hopefully we can get through all of that in the rather short amount of time that we've allowed for it, because at 11:15, I'm very pleased to tell you that we have a special guest joining us. She is the Senator pro tempore, Rebecca Balint. Pro tempore is a fancy Latin word. It basically means that she is the person in charge of the Senate. She's been selected to be in charge at the Senate. And so she has special responsibilities there. Senator Balint is comes to us from Brattleboro, and I'm sure she will share with you that she is also a parent of somebody on the autism spectrum. So this will be an opportunity for her to tell you a little bit about what she hopes to do in the legislature next session, and for you, most importantly, to ask questions and share some of your lived experience with developmental disabilities in your family or something that you've experienced yourself. After Senator Balint needs to leave at noon, we have to return to our work plans because A, we may not have quite finished reviewing them, so we'll do that first. And B, because work plans drive how we invest money. So our program committee has not only created the work plans, but they have a couple of proposals about grants that they would like to authorize staff to issue the request for proposals, RFP. That's the first step in collecting applications for a grant opportunity. And if you okay that, then I will be issuing those RFPs the very next day on October 1st, again, the first day of our new cycle. So I'm going to read slowly the motions. There are 2 votes that we'd like to take. The first has to do with adopting the 5-year plan, and you're authorizing me to submit it to the federal government for their approval. The motion reads, to adopt the 5-year state plan with the goals and objectives adopted by the council on June 24th, 2021, our last quarterly meeting, and the work plans for performance years 1 and 2 as presented today, and to submit today, September 30th, 2021, these plans to the Federal Administration for Community Living for their review and approval. So again, that says that you are okay with the plans. I hope so, because it's the very last day before we have to submit them at midnight, and that you are authorizing me to submit them to the federal government. The second motion that we would like to take a vote on has to do with issuing some requests for proposals. The council authorizes the executive director to seek proposals for a grant to a self-advocacy organization for up to $60,000 for federal fiscal year 22, and to seek proposals for seeds grants in categories identified by the program committee in the amount of $5,000 to $10,000 for up to 12 months for a total expenditure of up to $60,000. So that means that you're authorizing me as the director to put out requests for proposals for 2 pots of money. One, $60,000 that will go to a self-advocacy organization. We have to, by rules of the state, put that out for bid or proposals. There really is only one viable candidate. I think you can guess what organization that is, our statewide self-advocacy organization. Nonetheless, I have to put that out for bid. That will be $60,000. And another pot of $60,000 that can be divided up into small seeds grants for innovative projects. And we'll put some guardrails around that so that the proposals we get are related to our 5-year plan. You'll, of course, have an opportunity to, again, vote when those grants are going to be issued. That would be at our December meeting. Having done all that hard work, we are going to let you have a lunch break for 45 minutes. I hope that you will get off your screen, step away, because Zoom fatigue can be very, very hard to manage. So we want you to take a good break. It's also an opportunity to ask any questions of the chair, your buddy, or me if something was confusing to you during the morning. We will reconvene at 1 o'clock with a proposal by Susan Aronoff, our senior policy analyst and planner. Susan's been thinking about ways that we can engage our elected officials and that our members can get their stories and concerns to those elected officials. Because the legislature is meeting over Zoom, and we'll probably do that again next session, it's very difficult to get time to testify. They are sharply limiting testimony, excuse me. So we have an idea. Susan has a wonderful idea about how you can more regularly get heard by your elected officials. So she'll share that for half an hour. And then I'm afraid we do have to walk through the budget. We did not adopt a budget in June as we typically do. We must adopt one at this quarterly meeting because I need to have your authorization to start spending money. And we have timelines for spending that money. So we need to get it out the door fairly quickly. So I will review the budget. I will also review a process I want to put in place so that if Congress gives us a little bit more money than we were planning on, which I think is very likely to happen, I have a way of getting that approved by your executive committee, or, because you won't have time to come. It won't be timely to wait for the next quarterly meeting. And so, since again I have to be able to spend money quickly, we have a suggesting a procedure so that council members can weigh in on any revisions to the budget, and that would be through your executive committee. So the motion reads to adopt the federal fiscal year 22 budget as presented by the executive director. Further, during the first 6 months of federal fiscal year 22, so that would be until the end of March, the executive director will use the following process for the approval of major revisions to the federal 22 budget. A major revision is a change to any line item that is greater than $5,000. And the procedure will be this. First, the executive director will present the revised budget to the executive committee of the council for their review and approval. Second, any additional revenue will be distributed over 4 line items that have been identified as high priority in the budget. So when I review the budget, I will show you what those high priorities areas are. And 3, any major revisions will be reviewed with the full council at the next quarterly meeting after approval by the executive committee. So you will certainly have an opportunity to learn about and ask questions about any major revisions. That brings us all the way to 2:15, where we will take any public comment from visitors. And at 2:25, I will wrap up the meeting by just stating the important actions taken that day at the meeting. And then the processor, whatever member has been identified as the processor, will share some impressions of how the meeting went. And finally, at 2:30, we will zoom out. So that is what we will be doing as a council on September 30th. I appreciate you watching this video to help get yourself ready for the meeting. And if you have any questions, you know that you can always call me at the office, 802-828-1310. And I'd be happy to walk you through anything that you're unsure about as a way to help you get ready for the meeting. All right, thank you so much and have a great day.